My name is Nora Whitmore. I'm 36 years old, and 3 weeks ago, my aunt accidentally sent me the video that ended my family. There was no warning, no message, no explanation, just a video file from a dinner I had missed because I was working late, closing accounts for one of my clients. I tapped it without thinking. At first, I heard laughter. Then I saw my family sitting around my mother's dining table eating from plates I had helped pay for, inside a house I had quietly saved from foreclosure. My brother Caleb stood up, raised his glass, and made me the joke of the night. 36 years old, no husband, no children, just her little receipts and spreadsheets. Everyone laughed. My sister, my cousins, and my mother, Evelyn Whitmore, laughed too. Then she said the sentence that changed everything. "Leave Nora alone. She should be grateful. At least paying for us gives her life some purpose." The room exploded again. I sat alone in my kitchen, staring at the screen, waiting to cry. But I didn't. Something colder came instead, something still, something final. For 6 years, I had paid their mortgage, covered my brother's truck payments, my sister's rent, school fees, utility bills, medical bills, insurance, taxes, and every emergency they dropped at my feet. And there they were, laughing at me, calling me useless, calling me lonely, calling me grateful. I paused the video on my mother's face, right as she smiled after that word, then opened my laptop, because numbers have always told the truth better than people. I'm a bookkeeper. I keep accounts for a small construction company, a family pharmacy, and a bakery that almost closed 2 years ago before I found errors in their records. I'm not loud. I don't charm rooms. But I know numbers, and I know how to find the truth when people have buried it under excuses. My family had buried a lot. It started with the house. 6 years earlier, my father died after a short illness. He was 59, strong, proud, stubborn, and gone before any of us understood the shape of what he left behind. After the funeral, the letters started arriving. Late mortgage notices, final warnings, bank documents my mother hid under old magazines. She was 56, newly widowed, and hadn't worked in decades. My brother had ruined his credit twice over. My sister had no steady income. No one could refinance, except me. So I did what I always did. I handled it. I met with the bank, signed the papers, put the mortgage in my name, and took ownership of the house so my mother wouldn't have to pack her life into boxes the same year she buried my father. Everyone called it Nora taking care of the house thing, as if I had picked up milk on the way home. My name was on the deed. My name was on the mortgage. My name was on every document that mattered. But at family gatherings, my mother still called it her house. She told everyone she had held the family together after my father died. I never corrected her. I told myself it didn't matter. That was my first mistake. After the house came Caleb. My brother was 41, but moved through life as though consequences were something other people invented to make him feel bad. He had a landscaping business that failed, relaunched, then failed again. He called it bad luck. I called it unpaid invoices and expensive habits. When the bank threatened to repossess his truck, he came to me. "Nora, I just need help this one time." One time became 6 years of payments, insurance, repairs, and registration fees. Then came Marissa. She was 33 when her marriage fell apart. She cried in my kitchen and said she only needed help with rent until she got back on her feet. I believed her. That was 4 years ago. Then there were school fees for Caleb's son, electric bills for my mother, medical co-pays, groceries, property taxes, birthday gifts I bought on behalf of people who never remembered mine, and party expenses for celebrations where I was treated like furniture. Every first of the month, I sat at my kitchen table with coffee and my laptop. Click, transfer, confirm, mother, Caleb, Marissa, the school, the bank, the utility company. I never complained. Never announced it, never threw it in anyone's face. I thought that made me kind. Maybe it did, but it also made me invisible. I had a private spreadsheet, of course. I'm a bookkeeper. I recorded everything: date, amount, reason, recipient. I kept clean records because clean records make me feel safe, but I never added up the total. I knew the number would hurt, so I kept paying and refused to look. That video forced me to look. The next morning, I woke after maybe 2 hours of sleep and made coffee like nothing had happened. That is one of my flaws. The world can split open under my feet, and I'll still rinse the mug before using it. I sat down, opened the spreadsheet, and noticed something that made my body go still. The next round of payments was due on the 1st of the month, the same day as my mother's birthday party, her 62nd, a big celebration at the church hall, a party I had paid for, where half the town would gather to praise Nora Whitmore for being such a strong mother who had kept her family together. The universe, apparently, has a sense of timing, rude but efficient. I didn't stop the payments immediately. I didn't call anyone. I didn't scream. I did what I do best. I audited. I pulled 6 years of bank records, opened every statement, matched every transfer, created separate tabs: mother, Caleb, Marissa, house, school, utilities, emergency loans, unpaid debts I had covered. I didn't exaggerate anything, didn't round numbers up, didn't add interest, didn't write angry notes in the margins, just facts, dates, amounts, proof. A ledger is a thing, but in the right hands, it becomes a mirror, and some people cannot survive seeing themselves clearly. 2 days after the video, Caleb texted me, "Truck insurance is due Friday. Can you handle it?" No hello, no please, no thank you, just another request from the Bank of Nora, open 24 hours, apparently staffed by someone with Wi-Fi and no spine. Marissa texted an hour later with a link to a dining table she wanted for her apartment. "What do you think?" she wrote. What I thought was that she was shopping with money she hadn't earned and asking for my blessing without realizing she was asking her sponsor. Then my mother left a voicemail. "Nora, darling, did you confirm the caterer for my party? Don't wait until the last minute. You know how important this is. And please don't be awkward at the party. You get so quiet, and people notice." People notice. For once, I hoped they would. That weekend, I watched the video again, not to torture myself, to understand the room. Caleb was the loudest. He'd always needed attention the way some people need oxygen. Marissa laughed quickly, the way she did when she wanted to stay on the winning side. My mother sat at the head of the table, queen of the little kingdom I had been funding for years. Then there was Aunt Ruth. She was the one filming. At first I thought she had sent the video by mistake, but the more I watched, the more I wondered. She laughed, but not like the others. Her laughter was late and thin. Her eyes kept dropping to her plate. 3 days after that dinner, she had sent me the video with no message at all. I needed to know why, so I drove to her house on Sunday afternoon with a borrowed casserole dish I had never returned, because apparently, even while planning an emotional demolition, I still return dishes. Character flaw, but at least it's tidy. Ruth made coffee. We sat in her kitchen. I let the silence stretch until she broke it. "You saw it," she whispered. "Why did you send it?" Her hands tightened around her mug. "Because someone needed to see how they talk when you're not there." She swallowed. "I should have stopped it years ago. The jokes, the comments. It's been going on a long time, Nora. Your mother lets it happen. Sometimes she starts it." The words didn't break me. They settled inside me like final evidence. "So that night wasn't unusual?" I asked. Ruth shook her head. "No, that was just dinner. That was just dinner. A whole family tradition. Roast the woman paying the bills, then enjoy dessert under the roof she saved." I thanked Ruth for the coffee. She reached for my hand, but I moved first and picked up my purse. I understood what she had done. Sending me the video was perhaps the only courage she could manage. But understanding someone is not the same as trusting them. Ruth had watched them laugh at me for years. She had finally sent me the truth. That didn't erase all the silence before it. On the drive home, I made my decision. I would stop, but I would do it cleanly. No yelling, no threats, no dramatic group chat war. Just truth, paper, and dates. The first test came with Marissa's rent. I paid it 3 days late. Only 3 days. My mother called before Marissa did. "Nora, what is going on with you?" she snapped. No greeting. "Marissa's landlord called. Her rent was late. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that is?" 6 years of paying on time had earned me nothing. 3 days late made me the villain. "You've become cold," she said. "Ever since you started working with those little clients, you think you're better than your family. Little clients, little numbers, little life. The people who depended on my money still needed to make my work sound small." "I'll handle it," I said. Then I hung up. I paid the rent that night, not because she ordered me to, but because I wanted the record complete. No one would say I left them without notice. No one would say I acted from rage. The next day, I opened the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet and pulled out a folder I hadn't touched in years. The house documents. I spread them across the kitchen table under the yellow light. The deed, the mortgage note, the title insurance, the closing papers. My name appeared again and again, Nora Elise Whitmore. Owner, borrower, responsible party. The house my mother called hers was mine. The dining table where they laughed was in a room I had paid to keep warm. I pressed my fingers to the deed and felt the last soft part of me go quiet. Not dead, just done offering itself up. The next morning, I let the totals appear in my spreadsheet. The number was worse than I expected. It wasn't just money. It was time. 6 years of weekends I hadn't taken. 6 years of dinners I'd skipped. 6 years of vacations postponed. 6 years of dating apps deleted because I was too tired to answer messages after fixing everyone else's life. 6 years of building a safety net for people who called me pathetic while lying in it. The total, across all categories, across all 6 years, was a number I had never let myself see. Seeing it now didn't make me angry. It made me very, very calm. The kind of calm that comes when the last illusion leaves the room and only the furniture remains. I had not been their sister or their daughter. I had been their infrastructure. I cried for 5 minutes. Then I wiped my face and got back to work. Crying is allowed. Staying there forever is optional. I called a CPA friend first, then a real estate attorney. I explained the situation without emotion. No names, just facts. Just the clean, cold architecture of what had happened and what I intended to do about it. The attorney confirmed what I already knew, the house. It was legally mine. I could transfer the deed to my mother, but the mortgage would remain my responsibility unless she refinanced or assumed it through the bank. She looked at me carefully. "You understand your mother may not be able to afford the house?" "Yes." "You understand this could force her to sell?" "Yes." "Then why transfer it?" "Because she has spent 6 years telling people she carried it alone," I said. "I think it's time she meets the weight." The attorney didn't smile. Good attorneys rarely do. They save joy for billing by the hour. But she nodded slowly, like someone who had seen this kind of quiet courage before and recognized it for what it was. For the other payments, truck, rent, school fees, utilities, personal transfers, the advice was simple. All voluntary support. I could stop whenever I chose. Still, I decided to give notice. Not because they deserved it, because I deserved to leave clean. I prepared 4 envelopes. One for my mother, one for Caleb, one for Marissa, one general family record in case anyone tried to rewrite the story later. Inside each envelope, I placed a personal ledger. Every amount, every date, every payment. At the top of each, one line. All voluntary financial support ends on the 1st of the month. No apology, no explanation, no begging them to understand. People who benefit from your silence rarely appreciate your explanation. They don't want to understand. They want the silence to continue. I was done being quiet. The birthday party rushed toward us like a train with balloons tied to it. My mother called twice about flowers. Marissa asked whether I'd confirmed the caterer. Then Caleb texted about the truck insurance again. This time, I answered him. "I'm not able to cover that this month." He called immediately. "What do you mean you're not able?" "I mean I'm not able to cover it." "You have money." Silence. He laughed, sharp, not amused. "What, you saving up for something? A personality?" There he was, my brother in his natural habitat, unpaid bills and cheap insults. "I'm not covering it, Caleb. You've always been selfish, sitting there alone with your little spreadsheets. No wonder nobody wants to come home to you." That line would have hurt once. Now it simply entered the record. "Okay," I said. Then I hung up. The day before the party, I went to the church hall to check the setup. I had paid the deposit months ago, confirmed the caterer, ordered the cake, arranged the tables, all the invisible work that makes ungrateful people feel celebrated. Caleb was there, hanging a banner badly and explaining to two cousins how hard his life was. When he saw me carrying a box of glassware, he smirked. "Careful, everyone," he announced. "Don't upset the family ATM. She's been moody." The cousins laughed uncertainly. Marissa looked up from the flower arrangements and said, "Caleb, stop." But she was smiling. My mother walked past me without taking the box from my hands. "Make sure the cake table looks nice," she said. "People will take photos." "Not thank you. Not you've done so much. Just another instruction." Then I noticed my cousin Lily standing near the kitchen door. She was 20, home from college, with kind eyes that didn't yet know how to hide everything. She had heard Caleb. She looked embarrassed for him. That somehow hurt more than the insult. A few minutes later, she followed me outside. The evening air was cold. I stood on the church steps, gripping the railing, trying to breathe through the pressure in my chest. "Aunt Nora?" she said softly. She wasn't technically my niece, but she'd called me aunt since she was little. "Are you okay?" That question nearly ruined me. Not because it was dramatic, yes, because it was rare. No one in my family asked if I was okay. They asked if I had paid, if I could fix something before Monday, but Lily asked if I was okay. "I'm fine," I said. She frowned. "Nah. Oh, you're not. Smart girl. Terrible timing." "They shouldn't talk to you like that," she said. "It's not funny." I looked through the glass doors at my family moving around the hall I had paid for. "No," I said. "It isn't." She hugged her arms around herself. "You're the only one who ever shows up for me without making me feel guilty for needing someone." That sentence settled the last argument inside me, because I understood something then. The kindest thing I could do for Lily was not to keep swallowing insults so the family could stay comfortable. The kindest thing was to show her that love does not require self-destruction, that you can stop, that you can set the weight down, that you can leave the room without becoming cruel. I took her hand. "After I say a few words tomorrow, Ten," I told her, "come find me." She looked worried. I smiled. For the first time in weeks, it was real. That night, I sealed the envelopes. The next afternoon, the church hall filled by 4 o'clock. Folding tables, paper flowers, a glittering banner, a large cake with my mother's name written in purple icing. She wore a navy dress and stood near the cake accepting compliments like tribute. "She's so strong," one neighbor said. After her husband passed, she held everything together. My mother lowered her eyes modestly. I did what any mother would do. I stood 10 feet away holding the envelopes. Amazing, really, how people build monuments to themselves using bricks someone else paid for. Caleb laughed near the punch bowl. Marissa hovered beside my mother. Aunt Ruth sat near the back, twisting a napkin in her hands. Lily stood by the wall, watching me. Then my mother tapped a fork against her glass. The room quieted. She smiled in my direction. "My daughter Nora wants to say a few words. She organized all this. She's always been good at handling things." Polite applause. I stood. I did not carry a champagne glass. I carried the envelopes. The room waited for the grateful daughter. I walked to the front and looked at my mother. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate her," I began. 62 years is worth honoring. A life is more than one moment, and a family is more than one story. My mother smiled, pleased. Poor thing. She thought the script still belonged to her. I lifted the first envelope. "Mom, this is for you." I walked over and placed it in her hands. That envelope contains the deed transfer for the house. 6 years ago, after Dad died, the bank was preparing to take it. You couldn't refinance. Caleb couldn't help. Marissa couldn't help, so I bought it. The deed went into my name. The mortgage went into my name. I have paid it every month since. The room grew still. My mother's face hardened. "Nora," she said quietly. "Not now." "Yes," I said. "Now." I turned back to the room. "Tonight I am transferring the house back to my mother. The papers explain what she needs to do with the bank. From this point forward, the house she has told everyone she carried alone will truly be hers to carry." The silence changed. It became heavier. I picked up Caleb's envelope. "Caleb," I placed it on the table in front of him. 6 years of truck payments, insurance, repairs, and other support I've covered for you." His face flushed. "Don't do this," he muttered. I picked up Marissa's envelope. "Marissa, 4 years of rent, bills, furniture purchases, and emergency transfers." She looked down, then away. "All voluntary payments end on the 1st of the month," I said. "The ledgers are complete. Nothing has been exaggerated, nothing rounded. Every number is from my bank records." My mother stood so fast her chair scraped the floor. "How dare you?" she hissed. "How dare you humiliate me in front of everyone at my own birthday party?" "I'm not humiliating you," I said. "I'm telling the truth. You've always been dramatic, always desperate to make yourself look important." Caleb jumped up. "A few receipts don't make you better than us." "No," I said. "They just make the truth harder to deny." Marissa started crying. Not soft tears of regret, but panic tears. The kind people cry when the bill finally lands in their own name. My mother pointed at me. "After everything this family has done for you." I looked at her for a long moment. "Show me the ledger." She froze. The room froze with her. "If this family has done so much for me, show me the record. Show me the payments. Show me 1 month in 6 years where any of you carried me." No one spoke. Not Caleb, not Marissa, not my mother. Aunt Ruth looked down at her hands. Lily stepped forward and stood beside me. My mother noticed and looked betrayed, as though loyalty from anyone in that room was hers by default. "You ungrateful girl," my mother whispered. There was that word again. Grateful. I looked at her, then at the room. For 6 years, I paid to keep this family standing. And last month at dinner, while I was working late to make sure everyone's bills were covered, I was called pathetic, a failure, useful only because I paid. My mother said I should be grateful because paying for everyone gave my life purpose. The room shifted. People looked at each other. Caleb's face went pale. My mother's mouth opened, then closed. I didn't play the video. I didn't need to. The truth had already found the exits and locked them. "I'm not asking for thanks," I said. "I'm not asking for an apology. I am simply done paying to be the punchline." An older neighbor near the back, Mr. Graham, who had known my father for years, said quietly, "Lord have mercy." She was holding the whole thing up. The room heard him. My mother heard him. And for the first time in years, no one laughed. I placed the final envelope on the cake table. "This contains the full family record. If anyone is confused later, they can read it." I picked up my coat. My mother's voice cracked. "Nora, don't you walk out of here." I turned back. "Why? Is there another bill due?" No one moved. Even Caleb had enough sense to stay quiet. A small miracle. I looked at my mother one last time. "The house is yours now. I hope it's everything you told people it was." Then I walked out. Lily followed me to the doors. Outside, the cold air hit my face, clean and sharp. She hugged me hard. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. That was the only sentence from that day that mattered. I drove home to my own small house, where every bill had my name on it, where every object had been earned, and where no one mocked me for paying them. I didn't cry that night. I slept. The fallout came fast. My mother called the bank Monday morning and learned exactly what the mortgage cost. She tried to get me to temporarily keep paying while she figured things out. I said no. She called me cruel. I said nothing. There are moments when silence is not weakness. It is a closed door, and I had finally learned how to close one. Caleb sold his truck within a month. Apparently, when no one else is paying, reality becomes very educational. Marissa moved to a smaller apartment and got a job at a dental office. She told people I had abandoned her during a difficult time. My mother told relatives I had destroyed her birthday out of jealousy. Some believed her, some didn't. The people who had been in that room became careful around her. They had seen the envelopes, they had heard the numbers, they had watched her rage at the daughter who had kept her life intact. Aunt Ruth texted me a month later. "You did the right thing. I'm sorry I stayed quiet for so long." I read it 3 times. Then I replied, "Thank you. I appreciate that." And I left it there. Forgiveness is not a doorway people get to kick open because guilt finally made them uncomfortable. The only family relationship I kept close was Lily. She calls me now just to talk. Sometimes she comes over for dinner. We sit at my kitchen table and she tells me about school, friends, life, all the messy, beautiful things that belong to someone her age. She never asks for money, and when she needs advice, she listens. That is the kind of relationship I understand now. One where both sides show up, where care is not a bill quietly assigned to one person forever. As for the others, they know where I live. They know my number. The door is not locked, but I'm no longer standing in it with both hands holding it open while they walk in carrying demands and insults. If they want a relationship, they can bring respect. If they want support, they can bring gratitude. And if they want money, they can bring a job application and a miracle. I learned something that afternoon. Generosity becomes dangerous when people mistake it for obligation. Helping someone once is kindness. Carrying them for years while they mock you is not kindness. It is slow disappearance, and I was done disappearing. 6 years of silence ended with 4 envelopes and 1 birthday party full of witnesses. My mother wanted a toast. I gave her the truth. And for the first time in my life, I walked away without feeling guilty for saving myself. If you have ever been the responsible one, the quiet one, the one who pays and fixes and forgives and keeps showing up while everyone calls it your personality, listen carefully. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to count the cost. You are allowed to set the weight down. That doesn't make you cruel. It makes you free. The funny thing about a ledger is that it doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It doesn't explain. It just sits there, waiting for people to read what they already knew. And sometimes that is enough to change everything.